What's happening, everybody, and welcome into a new edition of On the Record, presented by CalledIt. Happy to be here with you on this Wednesday as we have a enormous matchup to look forward to today. Who is going to be meeting Spain in the World Cup final? Will it be Argentina? Will it be England? We're going to find out at 3 p.m. Eastern time this afternoon. For us Americans this afternoon, it varies, of course, around the world for people like Maya Campion, who will be joining us momentarily. She is just going to be, she's all over the place, but in a good way, right? She's a diehard England fan, so I am thrilled to get her thoughts on the game today. Obviously thrilled to get John Tapanero's thoughts as well. He will be joining us from the West Coast of the United States. So we'll talk about the entire overview of the game, but we'll also focus on the daily call made by the crew at CalledIt, which is available at the website, www.calledit.media, where you can get early access to it. You just enter your email. That's all. It's very easy. And then you get the newsletter with all the information regarding that call and others. And from that point on, you can decide whether you want to follow it, whether you want to fade it, and you can log your opinion and see how you stack up with your own record on the website. Tons of fun to be had. We're doing giveaways in the near future, so make sure you get locked in at calledit.media. But man, we will be talking about that game. That should be a great one. We'll also flip it to the hardwood to talk some offseason NBA drama, more so about LeBron James and where he will be headed with his future team, which naturally you can trade on at Kalshi and other prediction platforms. And then going back to the World Cup, our trending topic of the day, because we're getting so close here to the World Cup championship, the tickets are obviously insanely priced. So how much would you as a fan be willing to invest and throw down to get admitted to the World Cup final? I will be asking Maya and John that exact question. So without further ado, let's bring in our crew for today. And we throw it out to Maya, who is just, again, very, very excited for England playing today. She's had to wait much longer across the pond, like she was saying before we got on. You know, us Americans, we're kind of waking up into it a little bit easier for us. But Maya, you've had all day to kind of stew this one over. How are we feeling?
Yeah, so I'm in Croatia at the moment. So I've taken the opportunity to, go to the beach, do some breathing techniques, keep the heart rate low. Because I think it's 9 p.m. It's brutal for us to have to wait so long to watch the game. The nerves have been setting in, since we knew this game was coming. So, yeah, I'm nervous, I have to say.
What are your plans for the game? Are you a fan who wants to watch isolated so you can scream at the television and not be judged by other people? Or do you like to be swarmed in the crowd, maybe go into a pub? What do you have on the itinerary tonight?
No, I'm in Croatia. I don't think they'll be supporting England here. So I prefer to watch it like solitary. I think the final is something different. And for that, I'll be back in England. So I've planned out my holiday according to the World Cup. But yeah, for this one, I don't want to be listening to any Argentinian fans ruining the atmosphere of the game for me.
All right, fair enough. Well, hey, it's going to be a fun one and excited to see all of her content surrounding it. Again, folks, make sure you follow Maya on Instagram, maya.pitchside. And also make sure you follow this fella as well at John Tapanero on X. John live in California. John, happy to be with you as always, brother. Welcome back to the show. How are we doing today?
It is great to be back with you. It is great to be back on the show with Maya. And my situation could not be more different. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here. I've got a cup of coffee. I had a little accident with my cup of coffee, but we've rebounded. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, I don't have to wait any time at all for this match. It's going to kick off, I think, at 12 noon for me. So I certainly understand where she's coming from. I empathize with it, but our situations could not be more different today.
John, that was my favorite thing when I was living on the West Coast is I would just wake up and just sports would be on, right? You'd have like baseball on a weekday afternoon for normal people, but on the West Coast, it's the morning. It's just breakfast and baseball. Can't beat it.
I stand by the fact there is nothing better than being a East Coast fan. I know you're a Central Time Zone fan, but nothing better for me being an East Coast sports fan who lives on the West Coast. Games sometimes are at 10 a.m. You wake up, like you said, breakfast and baseball. There's nothing better than that. And my friends get mad at me back home. They're like, I hate the West Coast games because it's 10 p.m. It's too late to start. I'm like, I don't like the West Coast games. 7 p.m. baseball? No. I want baseball at 4 p.m. Thank you very much. I'd like to go out to dinner after the game is over.
Right.
So I'm a little spoiled now, but I agree with you 100%, Danny.
Oh, yeah, that's always a fun debate. We'll have to have that sometime in the best time zone to watch sports. But I tend to agree with you. I think West Coast does get the nod there. But either way, for folks out there who are unaware of what time it starts, in the time zone we often refer to, Eastern Time, Argentina and England, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, Georgia. The big one to see who is going to be matched up against Lamine Yamal in Spain after they got their 2-0 victory over the French yesterday in a match that people thought were going to flip the other way, but Spain's defense has only allowed 1 goal the entire World Cup, didn't allow any to France and Mbappe yesterday. What happens when they meet either England or Argentina? Well, of course, we have to see the result of this game first. And England at Cal, she's trading at 53% to be the nation to advance and face Spain in the championship. Argentina looking to claim back-to-back World Cup victories. They are trading at 47%. Of course, we'll get these guys' thoughts on that. But then we also got to discuss today's daily call. And as you can see on the right side of the screen, it's going to revolve around a player prop. And that is Harry Kane to score a goal on the biggest game of his career in the biggest stage. 1+ goal score, plus 145 American odds. The team at CalledIt traded it at 39%, which is what it's still at right now. But they believe the true value should be at 41%. Harry Kane has 6 goals this tournament. Now we know that Jude Bellingham, he's always a threat, but they want to go with the veteran, with the top tier dog on their squad in Harry Kane against an Argentina defense that's given up 5 goals over their last 3 contests. Maya, we know you're rooting for England. Do you think the correlation is there with Harry Kane to score the 1+? Do you agree with this daily call? And then, of course, we want to hear your thoughts on the game as a whole.
Yeah, I think that, being English, I have to preface by saying I'm contractually obligated to be like a little bit delusional, a little bit optimistic. So before I give you the stats, bear with me. But I think that this is a great choice. You brought up Bellingham as well. But Kane is the penalty taker, which offers you that little bit of an advantage. I think it's a semi-final. It's England. Something will inevitably go wrong. Someone will get injured doing absolutely nothing. We could concede a scrappy one. But Kane has scored a goal every way possible. Penalties, braces, the classic, please just let it go in. I think Argentina, like you said, for all the Messi worship, they've conceded in 4 straight World Cup games, and they needed that extra time to get past Cabo Verde. We won't forget that. So the defense is not the wall that everyone thinks it is. I think, I'll probably need to have a lie down during hydration break, but it's the price you pay for supporting England. Kane doesn't need the game to be pretty, though. He just needs a 1/2 chance. He's been finishing those all tournament. So again, 60 years of instinct telling me not to get my hopes up. I'm with CalledIt on this one. I think Kane will be scoring this game.
John, it's funny not to get your hopes up after years and years of turmoil. I think you and I can relate to that, being a New York fan, being a Chicago fan. So we are all too familiar with that, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, she's sitting there saying after 60 years, you as a Cubs fan only had to deal with, just almost double that, 108 years to see a World Series come back to Chicago. So, and me being a Mets fan, I'm sitting here and it's over 50, it's 40 years now, and it's just, I understand. Let me just say this, Maya. I empathize. I understand where you're coming from, and it's not a fun place to be. I will say this, though. You make some really great points on Kane, for sure. And look, we know how great he is. And I think when you have tournaments like this, you look for the stars to be stars. England has no shortage of star power, but like you said, he's the guy. It's still the foot that they're relying on. They rely on him in so many different ways. He doesn't need the game to be clean. Dare I say the game can be a little Messi and he can still score. So I think that this is a really great proposition for Kane to get that 1+ goal. I like it. I want to see the best players do the best things in the biggest moments. And I think it's all lining up for Kane to be the guy for England today.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. And, Maya, I mentioned it and you alluded to it a little bit with Jude Bellingham trading at 27% plus 252 American odds. Now, again, we were circulating around the daily call, but if it were up to you, would you be choosing the path of Bellingham a little bit more so based on what the potential defensive strategy of Argentina is? Paired there with just like the value of Bellingham price wise a little bit better than Kane. Is that something that would interest you more, or is there a path where both of these guys have great opportunities?
Yeah, I think that Bellingham, I mean, he's in incredible form at the moment. He's just playing unbelievably. You really, really, he's just there when you need him. But, penalties, and Bellingham's not going to take that. It's always going to be Kane. And for that little bit of an advantage, that a penalty could come up, I would definitely stick with Kane. But you know what? If they could both score 2 each, I would be very happy. So that would be great outcome for me as well.
I love that. Two. Why not 2 each? We can see your fandom is showing, and I mean that in the best way possible. This is great as we've now gotten down to almost the very end to see your team still in it and trying to win the World Cup for the first time in 60 years. I love the passion that's coming through. Last time you and I were on the show together, you were traveling here in the States, going to a bunch of different matches, and that was awesome. But seeing this side of you, seeing your fandom truly come out, I think is something that's really great. And I'll just add to it. Harry Kane is England's all-time leading scorer in international competition. Hard to count that guy out. I'm sorry.
No, that's fair. I mean, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And with Harry Kane, that certainly could be the case. When him and his team are taking on our Argentina game, where again, Maya is certainly going to be sweating that one out. And we know the side she's rooting for, investing toward. John, you've hinted at it, but we're marking you down for England, it appears, correct?
Yeah, I know we were talking a little bit before we went live. I've been rooting for England sort of from afar the entire time. I've said it on this show a bunch as it relates to the World Cup and even some of the other stuff we've discussed. I like storylines, especially when I don't necessarily have this impassioned rooting interest the way Maya does in this case. And I want to see somebody win that hasn't won in 60 years. And I know it's hard to sit here and say England is the underdog. There are fans of other countries that don't want to hear me say that sentence. I get it. But when you haven't won in that long, that is such a great story to me. And that's what I want to see. Also, selfishly, I am a fan of England. I love London as a city. I've been there 5 or 6 times. It's my favorite place that I've been to that I've never lived. And so, look, there's a little bit of rooting interest. I'm not going to say it's on par with Maya, of course. I'm not going to be sweating it out. I'm not going to need to take a lie down during the hydration breaks, but I'll be there. I'll be supporting from afar. And so you've got me right, Danny. You've got me right for sure.
Well, guys, sometimes it's nice to be with your coworkers in person, but sometimes it's good to do it virtually, because if I were in the same room as Maya, she would probably assault me, because I am leaning toward Argentina in this game, everybody. And I told him before the show, so I prefaced it a little bit so it wouldn't be a complete shocker and, disappointment to Maya and John a little bit. I do agree with John. Visited London, loved the place. Argentina treated me well in 2022. I'm respecting the greatness of Messi. I want to see it go on and have that picture recreated of Yamal and Messi. I mean, it's kismet, right? Like, it's a full circle ending of that photo shoot with Messi bathing him in the tub, and then if they met in the final, it makes a lot of sense for that narrative to happen. And I'm gonna be the oddball here and go for Argentina. Obviously, Maya, if they win, I'll be happy that you are happy, but a bit selfishly here for Messi. Selfishly here for Messi, I will be going against it. But I completely see the angle with the daily call for Harry Kane. So that is run, the restart of the run here, by the way, I forgot to mention, because yesterday did not go to plan with a halftime tie for France and Spain. So the run is starting up again, as you can see on the right side, folks. If you're new to the program, it's a challenge where we're taking a $250 investment, looking to flip it over 12 times around and get to $1 million. Now, the highest we've gotten is to trade number 7. We're back on trade number 1. So the daily call is put on Harry Kane to score, and that is number 1 of the run, looking to take that $250 and flip it to higher than that, so we can keep rolling it on over and have some fun with this challenge. So it does go with Harry Kane to score. All right, we'll take a break from soccer here, guys. Let's head to the hardwood, where there is a compelling conversation, per usual. It's a constant cycle here with this guy, LeBron James, and where he's going to end up. It's every, handful of years. It's where's LeBron going to end up? And, John, this being, from the United States, big basketball fan yourself. LeBron, when he did the decision, just gave me PTSD as a Bulls fan. So that just tortured me. And I already disliked him as a Bulls fan so much because Derrick Rose and company could never get past him. And I thought maybe he'll come there in 2010, and that didn't happen. So I don't care where LeBron goes. But for the people who do, you can trade on it at Kalshi right now. To go back to Cleveland, it's at 40% for the third time to be a Cavalier. Plus 139 American odds to team up with Steph Curry and company, 30%. Miami to go back there again, down in South Beach, 15% to pair up with Giannis Antetokounmpo. But Philadelphia's making a run here. Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid are courting LeBron to come to their squad. That's trading at 14%, plus 573. Shams has tweeted about it too. Obviously, these are the contending squads. John, I'll throw it out to you first. Is there any hunch, any inkling that you have that would be worth an investment on where the heck LeBron is going to go?
Let me just first agree with you quickly. I don't care. I know that doesn't make for compelling podcasting and live streaming, but I'm with you. I don't care where he goes. I don't want to do this again. I will say, though, I think we're going to find out by this weekend at Fanatics Fest in New York. I think that's when he's going to drop this. I think it's going to be the Decision 2.0 or the Decision Light or whatever it might be. There's not going to be this whole, ESPN angle where he's back in the high school in Akron or whatever the case was. But I do think that we're going to find out. I don't know if he's going to be able to make 2 very public appearances at what has become a very big event in New York and in the sports world and not be able to talk about it, because I just think that there's going to be so much clamoring. There's going to be so many fans there. I was at Fanatics Fest last year working for Topps, and it's an unbelievable event, but I don't see how LeBron gets in there and out of there without people knowing where he's going to play next. So let me just say that if there was any kind of odds on when we find out, I think it's by this weekend at Fanatics Fest. As far as the teams listed, I like the story of going back to Cleveland, right? Go back to Cleveland, where it all started, essentially his hometown, and try on a third stint to maybe have this unbelievable storybook ending and close the chapter on what has been one of the best careers in sports history, certainly in the NBA. I think playing with Mitchell is a big positive. I think playing with Harden might be a bit of a negative there. So I like that they're the favorites. I like where that story goes. I think they have as good a chance as anyone, but I think the fun, interesting bit is all the way down with Philadelphia at 14%, because if LeBron were to go to Philly and play with Embiid and play with Brown and try to win a championship, if they could ever do that, LeBron James would be the only player in NBA history to win an NBA title with 4 different teams. Doesn't that sound like something LeBron James would really, really, really want to do? So that's where I'm going with this. I think at the end of the day, the allure of going to Philadelphia is going to be one that he cannot pass up on. this chance to cement his legacy in a different way, because there's always going to be that LeBron and Jordan debate, and people are always going to want to give it to Jordan. And you being a Chicago guy, I understand why. And I'm not even saying that you would be wrong in assuming that or wanting to go in that direction. But the more things LeBron can do that sets himself apart from Jordan in a different way only helps his legacy. Going back to Cleveland is a nice story. Going to Philadelphia and trying to win a title is the thing where you go, that's something no one's ever done before.
We talked about this exact conversation like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, Cormick, Steph, and myself. I had the same thought there, John, because what does LeBron want out of this? He said it before that he doesn't need to really add more to his legacy. He's accomplished all he wants to. Does he really mean it? Maybe, maybe not. He's a competitive athlete. They all still want to win. But if he doesn't want to, you know, you're probably going to Golden State just to kind of cruise out with Steph Curry, let him shoulder the burden, a lot of the workload. But if you do want to kind of seal the deal, and look, obviously I'm a Chicago guy, I'm a Jordan GOAT guy. We're not going to change anybody's mind about this conversation, but to really help to the argument is exactly what you said. Nobody's done that before. So if he still truly wants to compete, I completely agree with you. That is the only way he can, for sure, in his mind and a lot of other people's mind, overcome Jordan in a discourse that Jordan can't back up. So I agree with you. I think Philly makes a lot of sense. 14% right there. Miami's already done it there. Golden State, I don't think they have a real chance. In Cleveland, it's just like this storyline again. So I'm with you on Philly a little bit farther down the line. But Maya, we obviously love your brilliance on the pitch. We got to get your expertise on the hardwood from a little bit of an outsider perspective, though. Where do you think LeBron is going to end up?
It's so funny because I thought that I was going to have to like work hard to convince you why I also think it's Philadelphia.
Ooh.
I mean, no, really. I mean, they've just pulled off the summer trading for Jaylen Brown. The whole front office has then pivoted straight to LeBron. Maxi's been training with him, you know, calling him big brother. You have Embiid and Brown both in his ear. Personally, the team president's gone on the podcast, I believe, to make a pitch directly to his face. And you know, they've got almost no cap space. So this would be a minimum deal. It's clearly not for the money. But he has said that he wants to play meaningful, competitive basketball. And right now, Philadelphia's roster gives him a better shot at that than, like you said, John, a nostalgia tour back to Cleveland does. So I think, yeah, I'm fading the favorite. I think that LeBron ends up a Sixer, could be potentially there.
I also just think from a value standpoint at 14%, if that's the way that folks want to go, to me, that's where the most value is compared to Golden State. I think their number is way too high. I don't see it. I don't really see the fit. I think then what you're doing is you talk about my nostalgia tour. I don't want to take anything away from these guys who have been unbelievable basketball players, but Curry and Green and LeBron in 2027, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's a winning formula. I don't know if it's smart basketball, to be honest with you. There is something to be said about going back to Miami and playing with Giannis, but you talk about cap space. They have no cap space. So it'll be Giannis and LeBron, and then, I don't know, the three of us playing in the starting five. So I don't see how they're favored over Philly. So I would take advantage of Philly's number being so low as far as, you know, putting a little bit of fun money on it is concerned.
Yeah, I think you're right. And look, we get a little fun money segment every time we get you on the show here, John, and I love it. And I agree with you. I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day when it's speculating with someone like LeBron and his next team. So obviously anybody out there, don't go crazy with it. And that's where I think the appeal certainly would be more with Philly to get a better bang for your buck while still having the viable path to that coming to fruition, as opposed to Miami for the reasons you listed, as opposed to just doing a retirement tour with Golden State and just getting the old version of the Olympic team. Like, if you're Golden State and you're the fans, I would be upset if LeBron came to my team. I think that's a bad move at this point in his career. You can make the case for that being the same thing with Cleveland, but you're kind of stuck because there's so much history there. But Philadelphia, with him taking a little bit of a back seat to the role players, younger guys, Jaylen Brown, Edgecombe is emerging, Tyrese Maxey obviously a stud controlling the point, and if Embiid can stay somewhat healthy, that mold makes a lot of sense. So I certainly like the path that we all seem to agree on with Philadelphia at 14% at plus 573 to find out where LeBron James is going to end up. And as John said, we may be finding out soon. So we'll keep our eyes peeled to see what happens with LeBron at 41 years old. But all right, guys, let's flip the convo back to the pitch before we round out here for our trending topic conversation. Now, I didn't even know you could actually trade on this until our producer Matt gave us a nod, but this is pretty interesting. How about being able to trade on the get-in price of the World Cup final above $6,000? The yes, minus 155, trading at 59%. Above 6,500. 49% chance or minus 104 American odds. Above 7 grand, plus 181 at 33%. Now, just to throw it out there, the get-in price refers to the lowest cost, including fees, to purchase a single ticket for an event. So you can trade on what you think it's going to be for the championship game. So first, my first question I want to ask is, what do you think the price is going to be? Maya, we'll start with you, and then I'll ask you guys something else. But in terms of this market, Maya, where do you think it's going to end up?
I mean, this is absurd. Like, let me put it into context for you that in Brazil in 2014, for the final, okay, the cheapest ticket you could buy was 440, and the most expensive possible, like best seat in the house, was I think like 990, just under 1,000.
Wow.
Okay, so we're going from expensive but doable, to, I believe that when we discussed this, it was 5,500. So it's going up and up and up. I mean, that's absurd. Like, that's an absurd amount of money. And unfortunately, majority of football fans will not be able to even think about affording that. With that being said, if England get there, it's not just a football match anymore. At that point, it's closure for 3 generations of fans, who've sat through penalty shootouts, near misses, pure heartbreak time and time again. So, you're not buying a seat, you're buying the ending of the story that your family's been stuck in. And I know one person that would spend money on that ticket. It's probably my dad. So I hope that if he does, he'll take me with him. I think that I'll have to start, being very, very kind right now from today if England beat Argentina. So it should definitely not cost 6 times what Brazil charged just to watch your country try to, compete to end 60 years of pain, like John said. But apparently that's the going rate now. I really had no idea it was this much. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the U.S. sporting events for you, huh, John? And it's going to be like the Super Bowl almost, where it's like the real fans get screwed, and it's a very corporate event, I would imagine. Almost.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, Maya used the word ridiculous. I was going to use the word gross. It's disgusting. Whatever the over is, just go with the over, because like you said, Danny, this is the landscape of US sports, and it's awful that it's gotten to this, but this is where we are. The hotter the ticket, the higher the price. And I know that's going to be the case anywhere. But again, when you compare it to just 4 years ago and where that number was and how much it has jumped up, and you're talking about a country where the team has been eliminated at this point now for a couple of weeks, and you're pricing out the real fans. You can't afford, most people can't afford to fly to a different country on holiday and then go and get into this game in a place where it's already going to be expensive to stay because it's at MetLife Stadium. So you either have to stay in New Jersey or you have to stay in New York, and that's a pricey ticket for the hotel and the accommodations and everything that comes with it. So, I mean, unfortunately, whatever the highest number is, go with the over. And the more compelling the story, again, I've said it on, I think, every show that I've been on, I'm a storylines guy, but the downside of that is the more compelling the story, the higher the price is going to be. So I think if England makes it to the final, oh, man, forget it. Forget what we're looking at. And honestly, even if they don't, because then Argentina's going for back-to-back, that's a compelling story. And now you're looking at another high-price ticket. Is it going to be Messi's last go-around in the World Cup? Probably, whatever, who knows? But now you're talking last time to see him on this stage. And any other little headline, any other blurb, any other tweet that you can add to it, just add another dollar sign to it. And that's unfortunate.
It's kind of a fascinating thought process. Maybe instead of taking a worse price with England, if you think they're going to win this game, the ticket prices skyrocket. Just get the better value on above $7,000, an
I
alternate
mean,
way to trade.
even Argentina, the Argentinian fans are as crazy, if not more crazy, than the England fans. I think they would sell their firstborn child if they needed to get tickets into this game. My brother was actually on ESPN in the Qatar World Cup, and they asked him like, "What would you do to get tickets for the final if England were competing?" And he said that he would sell my dad. So that was quite. That was a tough one, I think, as a family to get over that one. But unfortunately, we didn't get to that point, so we didn't need to say goodbye to my dad. But who knows? Who knows? This is ridiculous. So I might have to start looking into what I can sell.
All right, Maya. So I got to ask you then. You're a diehard football fan, diehard England fan. If they were to make the championship, how much would you be willing to spend? Like, forget about flights and everything, just a pure ticket. Would you be willing to spend around that 7,000 mark if it is England and Spain? And then if it wasn't, what would be the difference in how much you'd be willing to spend?
No, if it wasn't them, I wouldn't
You wouldn't
spend
care
anything.
at all.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't spend anything. I wouldn't want to continue giving money to FIFA, you know? If it was England, however, yeah, it would be close. It would be close to that.
Worth considering?
It would be worth. I would have to think about it. You know, I would have to look at the bank account, see what's possible. Yeah, try and I gotta listen to the calls that you make in the next few days before the final. Just put some money on that and hope for the best. But it's a lot of money for 90 minutes. With no guarantee that you're gonna end that game happy. I mean, it's gonna be absolute heartbreak if you pay that money and your team loses. It's just devastating. But it's the price you have to pay, to sit through 90 minutes of just torture, basically.
Yeah, John.
That's a great point, Maya. Sorry, Danny. Like, there's nothing better than being in the building if they win. There's nothing worse than being in the building if they lose.
Yeah, and John, no, I was all just gonna say, like, to me, is we were kind of just talking about with the whole Super Bowl thing. Even if the U.S. was in it, being the nation that I support and that you're living in its support and for the World Cup, I mean, it's so corporate that you're not getting the authenticity of it. And I don't want to pay so much more to where it's also like for our actual football, I am a diehard advocate of it's a much better experience to watch at home because of the replays and watching multiple games at once and not having to wait in line for the bathroom, saving money on, concessions, all of these things. But especially when you're not getting the true diehard fans, I'd rather go to one of the, group stage or knockout games instead of the actual final itself, where you're not going to get that raw fandom and pure emotion like what happens in football with the Super Bowl versus other playoff games. So, I would be kind of like Maya, like I wouldn't really care to do it. But how about you, John? Any interest at all? Or sorry, Maya, go ahead if you were going to add to that.
I mean, just to add on to what you just said, someone put a video up the other day for the Spain game, which I saw yesterday, which showed the stadium. And for all the other games, the ultras of both teams sit behind the goal. Like, that's where they, put their flags up, the drums, everything is there. And for the game yesterday, it was just all, corporate influencers behind there, like the Michelob Ultra, like the sponsor, I think, of the World Cup, the beer brand. They just have like hundreds of their people behind there, which is just like so sad that people like me, who would do anything to be there, won't get that opportunity because the price is hiked so high that only people who have that type of money, who maybe aren't as invested, will be able to go.
Yeah, it really is very unfortunate. I mean, in a very literal sense, I don't think there is, as a person who is not a diehard soccer fan, either, internationally or any of the great leagues around the world, I don't think there's any dollar amount that I would spend to get into this. It's just not my cup of tea in that way. But to put it into a context of something that I would want to see, Danny, like you mentioned, the Super Bowl. I've said time and time again on this show, I'm a Jets fan. The Jets haven't won the Super Bowl since 1969. They've barely sniffed the Super Bowl. And when I was in my 20s, There is not an amount of money that I would not have paid to go see the Jets in a Super Bowl. And in 2010, 2011, they got close. They made it all the way to the AFC Championship game in back-to-back years before suffering some heartbreak. Now that I'm in my late 30s, I agree with you. Football is better on television. I don't think I'd want to be in the building for a Super Bowl. I think it's changed so much. It's always been where the money is. It's always been corporate. It's always been all of that stuff. But I've known people who were able to get their hands on reasonably priced Super Bowl tickets about a decade or a decade and a half ago. That no longer exists. And to give yourself a worse viewing experience than just watching it at home, I don't understand why you would. Now, again, as a diehard fan, no disrespect, no shade to Maya, I understand wanting to be in that building because, again, I don't think the Jets are going to get there anytime soon. But if the Jets were in the Super Bowl, maybe my entire tone would be shifting. I'm not sure. But I just don't know if anything is worth being in the building at those kinds of prices. It just is getting to the absurd. You're going to sit in the 500 level, barely able to see it, not able to go get up and go to the bathroom when you want, or wait in line and miss portions of the game because you want to get yourself a beverage. You don't have to do any of that at home. You have an 80-inch high-definition television that you can pause, rewind, fast forward, plus all of the benefit that you said of the angles of the broadcast, the replays, all of that. And I can stock my fridge with whatever I want to eat and drink. To me, sports has become, look, there's nothing better than being in the building if we're boiling it down to its least common denominator. Of course, that's the best experience. But I don't know, man. My experience at home is pretty good for a lot less money than $7,000 US. Let's put it that way.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, hey, nothing wrong going with family and friends at your place of residence. Like you said, getting your beverage of choice, food of choice, no line at the bathroom, just get to hang out on a comfy couch. Don't have to be shoulder to shoulder with randoms, which can be fun. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, for the actual championship itself, usually not great for the common person, but 6,000 to 7,000. The get-in price, which is tradable at Kalshi, which you think it's going to be for the World Cup final between Spain and either Argentina or England, which we await the result of today. She is Maya Pitchside and Maya.Pitchside, where you can catch her on Instagram. Of course, Maya Campion, but, her alias, Maya Pitchside, as we like to label her as. John Saponaro at John Saponaro on X. Follow both of these people on Instagram, on X, on TikTok, because again, it's going to be a blast with the rest of the World Cup and furthermore after that, but especially with Maya, if England does make it to the final, she's going to be posted up somewhere incredible, I'm sure, when she's back in London, if it is England and Spain. So make sure you give both of these people a follow and get more and more of their content and analysis for every single sport they cover. And make sure you follow the website as well, folks, www.CalledIt.media, and there you can put in your email. It's completely free. That's all you got to do. And then you get a hold of the daily newsletter that gives you all the information and breakdown for the daily call. And additionally, you can make your opinion heard, whether you agree with it, whether you say, nah, forget that, I'm going the opposite way. We want to hear from you. And we also want to give you a chance at some free merch down the line. So make sure you qualify by putting in that email. So once we do drop that, you can get in the list. But head to www.calledit.media. Follow Called It on all the other social channels. CalledIt_media on X. CalledIt.media on Instagram and TikTok. And make sure you follow us along for tomorrow's show at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Myself, Stephanie Odie, and Cormac United as we recap today's game between England and Argentina and do a brief preview of the World Cup final between Spain and, well, we'll see either one of those teams. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another edition of On the Record. Remember, the daily call is for Harry Kane to score a goal, trading at 39%. That is what the crew is making. Let us know if you agree with it at the website. Tomorrow, we will recap all of that. Until then, best of luck with all your trades, and we will see you on the record.